A lot of people make a big deal out of their favorite movies, making lists, ranking them all, doing elaborate videos about why one in particular is their favorite, or otherwise just comparing or contrasting their taste with others in order to make a statement about what they think makes something good. A few years back, I might have been one of them, but not today. No, I'm not here to be an arbiter of good taste, simply an explainer of my own, seeing as I've often stated that The Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day put together are my favorite film, and I recently watched them both in the same night for the first time as my way of ringing in the new year. So I figured I'd yap about them for a bit in order to finally explain it. The first thing I need you to understand about my perspective on the Terminator movies is that they don't really fit into any one box. Yes, it's been said that the first one is a horror film in the slasher subgenre, and the second is an action film with a sci fi twist, but I've never found that to be wholly accurate. Sure, the hallmarks are there in both cases, but it's also not really what the films are about or even really seem interested in showcasing. So, while it's true all art is subjective, I choose to see these films as a love story. It's an element present in almost every act, from Kyle's love for Sarah that he thinks will go unrequited in the beginning, to Sarah's love and forgiveness towards all humanity in the final future we see at the end of the second movie's extended edition. Moreover, the story is about how precious and delicate love is, I think. That's shown in how beaten down people look in the future of the first movie, how desperate Kyle and Sarah become for one another towards the end of it, how strained Sarah's relationship is with John during most of the second one, and how much it hurts John to destroy the T 800 after growing close to it as a friend. There's also a sense of dread and ominousness throughout the whole saga right up until the final moments of T2 that shows how hard and hopeless it feels when strong forces are arrayed against you and those you love. An easy life is something you or someone before you will have had to fight very hard for, seems to be a core theme of the films. It's more than the moments I've mentioned. These themes are woven all throughout the movies, but it would be a little pointless for me to outline all of them here when you could just go watch for yourself. But there are other, more obvious things I enjoy about these films. The action and effects are phenomenal, coming right at the point where Hollywood was perfecting practical and stunt work and beginning to introduce CGI. The free blending elements create some amazing moments like the assault on Cyberdyne and the future war flashbacks that scared the crap out of me as a kid. I don't really need to tell you how cool Stan Winston's T800 prosthetics are or how incredible the T1000 is for the time. They've gone on to become the stuff of Hollywood legend. What hasn't, though, is the performances that ground them. I made a whole video in my previous life talking about how much I respect and appreciate Arnold Schwarzenegger, so I'll be brief here, but man, people really undersell him in this movie because for a man who was upset he didn't get cast as the hero, he did an incredible job as a cold and precise killing machine in the movie. Which may not seem like much work to you now, as a modern viewer who's seen him and other actors do that performance numerous times since, but you have to remember that it is a real performance because it's the exact opposite of his personality at the time, and it was something that we had only seen cornier versions of before. At this time, you'd only really had like B grade sci fi movies with people being controlled by others or playing artificial robots. Arnold created this persona at a time when he was a gym bro and a party animal. the kind of stereotypical jock most cartoons go out of their way to make fun of. But he wanted to be more, and James Cameron saw the ability in him to do that. So he gave him the chance. And after the first movie and Conan the Barbarian shot Arnold to stardom, they let him do something even more impressive: play a killing machine that learns to be a friend to all children. Or at least one very hard edged child. That's not an easy thing to pull off, and it's rarely been done to such great effect since. And I think that and everything else at play here is why, though he's done tons of films and other projects since, to this day, Arnold is probably still best known as the Terminator, which is well earned, but I have never not found it strange that he and Cameron are the only ones to really make it big off of this. Because while most of the other lead cast have still been consistently working, none of them have really become household names like the former two. Michael Biehn has maybe come the closest, also having major roles in Aliens and Tombstone, but I personally think with the frantic intensity he has in the first film and his brief appearance in the second, he could have gone on to lead his own series, either in film or television, honestly. Robert Patrick also should have been in much bigger stuff after giving one of the best villain performances in film history, somehow managing to come off as twice as intimidating as Arnold. But he seems to be getting more acclaim now from playing Peacemaker's dad, and I'm personally very happy about that because it's a great performance, a hilariously shitty character, and he just seems to be a nice guy in interviews. Edward Furlong is a tough one to talk about. By all rights, he could have become the next Jonathan Taylor Thomas, but then addiction became a debilitating factor in his life, and even though he managed to stay working through it, he never really got near that action blockbuster level again, nor graced many teen magazine covers. He does seem to have made a real effort to get his life back together in recent years, and I'm very happy for him for that. I hope it can lead to a sort of renaissance like Patrick has had. The one that really boggles my mind, though, is Linda Hamilton. She goes from giving a really good, though standard performance for the final girl sort of archetype that she is in the first movie to transforming into one of the most badass women in the history of film while keeping an air of vulnerability to the character that never cancels out the first bit in the second movie. And it's just incredible to see. In fact, my friends and I often clown on my penchant for badass female characters with a sad past, saying it's because Supergirl is my favorite character in fiction. But after this most recent viewing, I have to say, I think Sarah Connor is really the root of that because I saw these movies a good year or two before I found uploads of Justice League Unlimited on YouTube back in the Part 1, Part 2, Part 3 era. And yet, even with a perfect performance of a character so well written that it can rewrite someone's brain chemistry, Hamilton has rarely had leading roles in major action films since, which is just an insane reminder of how ahead of her time she was. A lot of elements of these two movies are ahead of their time, in fact. Not only pioneering the twist face turn and introducing the modern depiction of evil AI robots that has stuck around since, but also showcasing nuclear devastation in a way no major American film before or since have really been able to match, and being one of the first Hollywood movies from a white creator to suggest that maybe the police aren't the smartest people in the world, don't have our best interests at heart, and might be causing some issues with our mental health infrastructure. There's also the incredible scores by Brad Fiedel that mix synth, classic orchestral, and rock in a way that at once feels purely 80s but also a little timeless. The theme alone is one of the most iconic pieces of movie music not made by John Williams. And all of that is without even really getting into the creative genius at the heart of the saga, James Cameron. These days, his reputation is a little debatable due to the Avatar films being something you either love or intensely dislike, but personally, I feel all he ever needed to do to be remembered well was these two films, and Aliens is probably good too. It's also long been a talking point of the internet that classic sci fi writer Harlan Ellison claims the first film is a ripoff of two episodes of The Outer Limits he did, and while I've always admired Ellison's passionate defense of his and other creators' rights, Cameron has always been clear that he didn't know about the episodes and extrapolated the whole story from a nightmare he had about a burning metal skeleton coming to kill him. And the court case was almost instantly settled, with an acknowledgement to Ellison being slapped on the end credits because of all that. And because of all that, I'm inclined to believe Cameron that it was all his idea. Maybe not his original idea, but that's also a part of art and telling stories. Humanity has been around for so long and we've told so many stories that being original is virtually impossible. And the best you can hope for as a creator is that your take on an idea you've hit upon, either through pure imagination that runs parallel to someone else or direct inspiration, is able to feel fresh and interesting enough to excite the audience you are presenting it to. And Cameron did just that. Through the collaboration of tons of other people working with him in the industry, he took one weird dream that he had and created a whole world with a strong, captivating cast of characters with a lot to say about the human condition, who we are and could become if we're not more careful, and what should be most important to us. That's truly amazing. Seeing that, marveling at what a wonderful work of art it is what keeps me coming back to these films decades later, as someone who was actually born a good bit after they had both released, and hoping one day I can achieve something similar. That's why The Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day put together are my favorite movie. And after saying that, I'm sure some of you are probably thinking to go down to the comments and ask, well, what about the rest of the Terminator franchise? And to that I say, what about the rest of the franchise?